In the past, we've talked about the Chuck E. Cheese 1992 plush set and the 1994 plush set. Both sets are the only ones to have all 5 main characters, but in this video we are going to end the trilogy by talking about the last plush set to have all 5 of the characters. This is probably the most common to find and most iconic plush set in the Chuck E. Cheese collecting community, and that set is the Chuck E. Cheese Bendable plush set. Also known as the Chuck E. Cheese 1996 plush set, these were released in 1996 by Dennis Folland Inc. exclusively to Chuck E. Cheese's restaurants. If you saw my previous videos, you probably know the rest. Anyways, the reason why they're called the Bendable plush set is because they have wires inside to make them pose. This is the only CC set I know of that has wired frames inside their bodies. Though since these plushes are more than 20 years old now, some of the plushes may have their wires broken and are unrepairable. Despite this, you still get a nice looking plush of the characters, even if their wires have snapped. The characters in this set include the usual Chucky, Helen, Jasper, Munch, and Pasqually. And let's not forget that these plushes came in 3 sizes: the small 9-inch, the medium 16-inch, and the large 21-inch. Pasqually's the only plush in the set not to be in the large scale, but more on that later. This set is beloved by many fans, and rightfully so. So in this video, I'm going to be examining these plushes, as well as saying their pros and cons. Just like the past videos, let's start off with Chucky. Here's the big mouse in the set. I'm actually not a fan of the outfit he's wearing, but despite this, his clothes are really well made. The best part about this plush is his face. DFI made their first mouse era Chuck plush in 1994, and I think this one improved even further. He's such a happy and lovable version of the character, and I think this plush captures that aspect of Mouse Chuck really well. Also for rarity, he's one of the more common plushes in the set. What's really strange is that the large size plushes in the set are actually more common than the smaller sizes. I have no idea why that's the case. Finding a value on this plush by their sizes is a little difficult, so I'll only be mentioning the overall worth of these plushes rather than separating them by size. Chucky should cost you at least around $25 to $40. He could go for more, but remember, this is the overall worth. Fun fact, there's actually a 4th Chucky plush in this set. Released in the same year was a slightly different looking Chuck that's around the small scale. Instead of wires, he has beads. I guess he was made to cash in on Ty's Beanie Babies, which makes sense given that they were a huge deal back then. Overall, Chucky is a really nice plush. One that may arguably be better than the later plushes of that specific Chuck. Now let's move on to the next plush, Helen Henny. What's unique about this plush is that she has her green cheerleading outfit. It's probably the most popular outfit she's ever worn, since most restaurants nowadays that still have the older costumes have the green cheerleader outfit. She uses the same beak pattern as the 1994 plush. She also reuses the same plastic eyes from said plush. At first, I wasn't a huge fan of this plush, as I'm not a huge fan of the green cheerleading outfit, but now that I'm researching these plushes, this plush has started to grow on me. As for her value, she actually surpasses Chucky as the most common plush in the set. I'd say she goes for around $30 to $40. Again, the large size plushes are more common than the smaller ones, and that can be said for the next plush in the set, Mr. Munch. For being the leader of Munch's make-believe band, this plush is so far the best that Munch has ever gotten. The 92 plush was very meh, but the 94 plush improved upon it, and now, the Bendable Munch is so far 100% perfect. He and Jasper are my favorite in the set. What makes them stand out is that they're pre-posed. Both characters have their arm raised, greeting you hello. Munch also has green shoes now, and he looks more plumpy than the previous 2 Munch plushes. He also finally has eyebrows now. This monster alien man was truly ahead of its time. While he isn't as common as Chucky and Helen, he does show up occasionally on eBay. Expect to find one for around $12 to $70. I personally think the large size plushes look better than the small plushes, but any size still looks good nevertheless. After reusing the classic Jasper design over and over for their previous plush sets, we finally got our first plush of the modern Jasper. Funny that his cowboy looking outfit is the most popular outfit he ever wore, despite the fact that this is the only plush of him in that design, and honestly, I'm not asking for more. This is another favorite of mine in the set. Like Munch, he's 100% perfect. Sure, he doesn't look the best in the front angle, but he's still a quality looking arcade plush overall. His face looks exactly like how Jasper looks, even by 1996 standards. He's also posed to be waving, though if the wires are still working, You could pose it to wave down, but who would want to do that? He also has plastic buttons, which, as far as I know, is the only Jasper plush to feature them. Just like Munch, he's a pretty uncommon plush in the set, but it's still pretty easy to find one. His value should realistically be around $30 to $60. Last up, we have the young, handsome, sexy man named Pasqually. The myth, the legend, the god, and the ruler of the universe isn't holding up as well as the previous two plushes of him. I know some people think that I never say anything bad about Pasqually, but that's not always the case, especially with this plush. Look, he's not a bad plush by any means, he's just not the best. The last two plushes were the best ones of their respective sets, as they had things that made them better than the other plushes in their sets. This Bendable Pasqually plush, not so much. For one thing, his quality control is not the best, as most plushes look very different every time he's seen. Think of him as the Chuck E. Cheese equivalent to Kelly Toy Luigi. His mustache isn't shaped to look like Pasqually's mustache, giving it a very caterpillar, fuzzy-looking appearance, in the same vein as Play-by-Play Mario. It doesn't help that it covers his mouth for the most part. I also think they made his apron too short. The one thing that makes him unique in a good way is his shoelaces are made out of some blue ribbon material instead of black strings like the previous two Pasquallys have. Also, his plastic eyes are the same as the 1992 plush. I guess there weren't any issues with his eyes. Despite being my least favorite plush in this set, he is the rarest out of all the others in the set. It's hard to put a price on him, but I'd say he's worth around $35 to $50. While Pasqually is the only plush in this set not to be in the large 21-inch scale, he was originally supposed to. If you haven't watched my rare Chuck E. Cheese plushes video I made a while back, well, say hello to the large prototype Bendable Pasqually plush. These photos were taken by the owner of this plush, who currently goes by the name Entertainment Fun on Instagram. He made a story on Instagram about this plush, so I got in touch with him, asking and begging if he could release more photos of the plush. He gave me the photos, and my mind was blown. The story goes like this. The owner and his college mate found him on accident on eBay and purchased it. But what's unique about it is that it's a prototype of a large-size Pasqually plush that was never released. The differences on this prototype compared to the final releases is that the touch tag says sample rather than the 1996 touch tag that has the current CC logo in black. Also, the hair ratio on his head and mustache is perfect. The red on his checkered shirt is a little pink, but it could be due to sun fading. The one difference I noticed was that his eyes are not made of plastic. They're made out of paper with drawn-on pupils. I'm not so sure if it's because he was missing eyes when the owner bought it, or if it was always like that. Overall, he's a much more charming plush than the small and medium plushes that got released. If his animal friends got large plushes, then why wasn't Pasqually released? The owner speculates that he wouldn't sell well, which is understandable, and might explain why the large size plushes are a little cheaper than the smaller ones. Most people buy plushes in the small scale, not just for display, but also to play with them. As amazing as a large Pasqually would be, it would be hard to play with, and thus he was never put into production. Even though I wish he got released, I'm not bothered about him never releasing. And even though this is the last plush in the set to have all 5 characters, this wouldn't be the last set to have Pasqually. And that's the Bendable Plush Set. This set is really iconic, as they're really common to find on eBay, and even though they might not always be affordable, you can still find one for a good price. While I'm not the biggest fan of the Pasqually in this set, everyone else is well made and probably the best looking plushes of those characters. Munch and Jasper are a solid recommendation in my book. Also, huge shout out to Entertainment Fun for providing me the photos of the large prototype Pasqually plush. Without him mentioning it in his story, or taking the additional photos, that plush would have remained a mystery. So thank you Entertainment Fun for saving a piece of Chuck E. Cheese history. While this set is sometimes overshadowed by the seasonal variant plushes from the 2000s, the 1996 Bendable plush set is still recognized as not only the most famous set of Chuck E. Cheese plushes, but also the best Chuck E. Cheese plush set of all time, and I think this set deserves that title.